We'll see.
All right, well, let's talk a little shop this morning. In your neck of the woods, I know there's a few school teachers that are concerned about the pension reform plan that you guys have. That I guess there's some pros and some cons, and there's some people who like it, and there's some people who don't like it. So educate us a little bit on the pension plan for Kentucky.
Well, I mean, the nutshell of it is there'll either be a pension for people in the future or there won't. And I truly am confused by people who are protesting the idea that we should save the pension system. They don't want to make any changes. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever experienced. And one of the ways that was proposed to save the pension system so that those in it now and those that would be in it in the future, including those people currently working who presumably want to have something to retire on, one of the proposals was that, hey, listen, there has to be some shared sacrifice. So how about, since teachers are the only people in Kentucky who get pay raises after they retire, they get a pay raise every year for the rest of their lives, even after they're no longer teaching. They're the only workers. State troopers don't. They go out and they're willing to get shot at. Some of them do get killed in the line of duty. They don't get pay raises in retirement. Highway workers, they don't get pay raises in retirement. State social workers, they don't get pay raises in retirement. The only people in Kentucky are teachers. And what they seem to be upset about is the idea that they want a bigger pay raise. They're not willing to get a pay raise, but just a smaller pay raise, even when they're retired. They would rather get every cent now, even if that means they have no money when they get old, or if people now working get no money. It's the most, it's just bizarre to me. I can't even imagine. Could you imagine if during World War II, when people said, hey, okay, people have to stop using butter, or we're going to stop using sugar, or we're going to have to turn in all of your extra steel or copper. We've got to help our troops. We've got to save our nation. This would be like people protesting that. This would be like people having mass demonstrations about how, no, I want my butter, I want my sugar, I'm going to keep all my steel and my rubber and my copper, and to heck with the rest of you people, but you better keep giving me mine. That's what it is. It's the most remarkable commentary on who we are in modern times.
A psychological game of survival.
It's not even survival. It's about just straight up wanting more than your fair share. Here's another thing, too. You hear constantly about how underpaid people are. The average teacher in Kentucky makes more money than the average teacher in Tennessee, makes more money than the average teacher in Virginia, makes more money than the average teacher in West Virginia, makes more money than the average teacher in Missouri, makes more money than the average teacher in Indiana. Pick another state that borders us. I mean, reality is, this is a group of people that are throwing a temper tantrum. And I'm surprised. It's just, to me, if they get what they wish for, they will not have a pension system for the younger people who are still working. And that, to me, is remarkably selfish and short-sighted. But we're going to try to save people in spite of themselves.
What, a little common ground there, meeting in the middle somewhere?
There doesn't seem to be any willingness to meet in the middle on the part of certain people. But that's okay. I mean, that's what the job of our legislators is. And the fact that our legislators are, in some cases, not willing to make the hard decision to save people from their own misinformed opinions is crazy. I mean, we were sent there to do this. Nobody likes the idea of having to do the hard work, but that's what legislators, and that's what, in this case, the governor, that's what we were elected to do. I ran on this issue. I said we have to save this pension system. It is the worst funded pension system in America. It really is. I mean, there's in the entire United States, out of the other 50 states, there's not one state that has a worse funded plan than we have. And yet nobody wants to do anything. And the irony is this, Larry, this is just fascinating to me. For the last 8 years before I was elected, the governor that we had, that presumably these teachers loved, presumably they thought he was doing a great job, never fully funded their pension. Never. I'm the only governor in the lifetime of any of these teachers that has fully funded the plan. And yet they seemingly hate what we're doing, and they say we need to stop doing it. I think I'm just flabbergasted at how remarkably uninformed folks are. They're highly educated, but very uninformed. It's crazy. I truly can't even understand it. And our legislators need to be they need to do the job whether the people want them to do it or not. It's as simple as that.
How do you change the minds I mean, what do you do?
You don't. There's an old saying that you can't win an argument. Excuse me, 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Had to mute you. I didn't want to cough on air. There's an old saying. There's an old saying that you can't win an argument with an ignorant person. And so if a person is uninformed about a topic, they're not even able to make their own case for what they believe. You have people that are scared, and they've been whipped into a lot of false information. I mean, you go and ask these people why they're demonstrating because they don't want to have their pension taken away. There's nobody proposing that. Every single one of them will get a pay raise every single year of the rest of their lives while they're working, but after they're working in retirement. But that's not what they are being told. And why people are lying to them, I think it's because it's about a threat to their control and security. And it's too bad. Again, how do you change their mind? I'm not sure if you can. There's none so blind as those that will not see. These are highly educated people. They're capable of reading and studying and learning it for themselves. Many of them do. There's about 75,000 teachers or so. I think about 70,000 of them probably know exactly what's going on. Of the 5,000 who don't, some few hundred of them or so are easily misled, and they're the ones that people are taking advantage of, and it's too bad. It really is.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's certainly a tough time to be governor, that's for sure, or a lawmaker, because the pressure is on.
Yeah, but again, it shouldn't be that hard to do the right thing.
It shouldn't be, but it is, and you know it is because you've just even explained it. But it's a tough nut to crack.
Yeah, it is. I guess it is for some. But those people for whom this is a hard decision, because they don't understand it, or because they're just afraid of people, or they're so worried about getting reelected, folks like that maybe should find a different profession. Frankly, I mean, I'm being completely serious.
Well,
it's like if somebody can't handle, like these guys down in Broward County. I mean, these sheriffs, if they can't handle the situation that's called for in a particular instance, they should not be in that line of profession. And it's the same with anything. I mean, if you had your job, but you got tongue tied and nervous and couldn't speak when the red light went on and you started broadcasting live, you probably shouldn't be an on-air personality.
That's exactly
doesn't
right.
Mean it doesn't mean you can't do something else. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. Doesn't mean you're not capable of greatness somewhere else. It just means that certain jobs demand certain things of certain people at certain times. And if you don't have that, be bold and be willing to make hard decisions. That's what people are.
Sometimes, though, being bold will make you look like the bad guy in this lifetime here. It just seems like when you got to put your foot down, oh, he's a jackass or something.
I tell you this, Larry, though. I mean, it's so funny. If anybody looks at the world of politics and thinks, gee, I want to do that so people will love me, boy, they are. That might be old. Maybe once upon a time people looked up to and revered. You look at the polls. I mean, people hate people in politics. But that doesn't mean we don't need good people doing it. You think about it. Francis Bacon once said, I think it was Edmund Burke. Edmund Burke said, all it takes for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing. And you can apply that on a lot of different fronts. All it takes for financial irresponsibility to prevail is for people that are financially responsible to do nothing. All it takes for corruption to prevail is for non-corrupt people to do nothing. So at some point, we need to get people, at every turn, we need to get people to step up and do the job, even if people are unhappy about it. That's what it demands.
Well, Gov, as we wrap things up, just want to let you know that we're always in business for some industry and jobs, and anytime you want to come and visit and shake howdy with us and bring something good to Campbellsville. Things are tied up around Frankfort, but if you got any industry you'd like to send down in this direction of the state, hey, we'll put them to work.
Sure, we work on these things every single day. And the last thing I'll say is this. Understand, when we put billions of dollars, which is what we've been doing, into the pension system because there's a hole in the bottom that's leaking out, because people are not willing to share any responsibility for saving a broken system, the worst funded in America. When that kind of selfishness and that kind of unwillingness to participate happens, then there's no money for other things. Because we put billions into that, there's not billions to build the Heartland Parkway, for example. There's not billions for schools. There's not billions for public safety and for new equipment for law enforcement. There's no money for the things the government should be doing because we're spending it on things that people, through their selfishness and short-sightedness, are demanding be given to them instead. So all these things are connected. They really are. This is why legislators have a big job to do.
Brother, we'll talk again in a couple of weeks. How about that?
Sounds good.
Good luck
Thank you,
to
Larry.
you.
Appreciate you.
There's our Governor Matt Bevin this morning on 99.9 The Big Dog and WVLC.com.